Hi, everyone, and welcome to She. I am so excited about the show today. And I know it looks like it's getting old because I'm always excited on every show, but because genuinely I am, because, every show has been so deep. Every show has had so much learning. I have learned so much. I feel so ready for this baby, and all that. And I know if you've been watching all through, you've learned so much. I know many people have been helped from the messages we've been getting. And today, let me tell you, it's going to be one of those as well. And through the journey of pregnancy, there's so many things that we've discussed. But one of the things that we kept getting messages on is to talk about raising children with special needs. And we said, you know what, we'll listen to you and do a full episode where we discuss that. And so we have guests on the show to help us understand, being a mother to a child with special needs, how to raise them, how to be encouraged, because it can be discouraging. And so we have two amazing guests to help us through that today. So let's just give them an amazing round of applause, because I know it's also taken a lot of courage, for you guys to be here. So maybe you can start with you and you introduce yourself.
My name is Julia Karanja.
Julia.
I'm an occupational therapist. I've been working with children with developmental delays for the last more than 10 years.
Wow.
And I'm a mother of two.
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
delighted to be here, even as we share.
Wow.
Thank you.
So is an occupational therapist found in a hospital? Do you have like a clinic? And when you say developmental issues, what does that entail? Maybe just give us a bit of...
Faith, you're right. Occupational therapists mostly are found in hospitals, but nowadays we have occupational therapists in schools. We have them doing home-based, so that we are visiting the house. We are doing therapy at the comfort of the child. So personally, I do the home visits.
Okay.
I visit the child at their comfort.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
And so what sort of children have you dealt with? Are they children with dyslexia, autism? What sort of...
Most of my clients are children in the spectrum and cerebral palsy. So those are majorly the children that I have at the moment, working with them from the stage that they are in, and ensuring that they are gaining their developmental milestones and hitting them as fast as possible, and making them also function independently.
Okay.
Yes.
What is children in the spectrum? We could assume everyone understands that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about spectrum, it is the autism spectrum. It is
autism
a broad
spectrum.
Yes, it's a spectrum because it's a broad one. There are so many conditions under that spectrum. There are so many, the ADHDs, they are all under the spectrum.
Oh.
Yes, the sensory processing disorder, they are all, quite a wide range of conditions in that umbrella.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I guess you'll be telling us more. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm Njoki Muthuri. I'm very honored to be on your show. I'm a practicing corporate in the fintech space. I'm a mother of 3 children, and one of them is on the spectrum. Yes, and he's a mother of 3 boys, and the last 2 are twins. And one of the twins is the one who has the development challenges that we've experienced on the spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we just start this conversation from you. And I'm so grateful that you're here, because I'll be honest with you, I spoke to a lot of moms, just trying to see if any of them would be willing to share their story. And they're like, Faith, it's so difficult. I don't think I have courage yet to talk about it. So we honor you, and we're grateful for you being here today.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious, how did you figure this out? You have these babies, and all that. Like, at what point did you know there's something wrong? What was your story? What is your story? Like, how did it happen? Do you just look at the child and you can tell? Did it take a hospital visit? Maybe just shed a bit of light.
This not being my first child, I was oblivious to the change that I did not want to see. My husband then noticed and said, Njoki, there are differences in the twins, and you can see they're not catching up. And he was quite well versed in terms of diet and what it does to our health and our physically, especially children. Our first child, we noticed, we gave him everything that he wanted. And with that, it had the effects that were a diagnosis of ADHD. but that was as a result of the food that we were giving him. It was not healthy, it was not nutritional, so he was not functioning well. He could not stay still in class when he's just consumed an energy drink. Now, for that basis, did we let the teacher define him for that? So from that basis, having learned from our firstborn, then we knew cut out what is not right for a child to consume at a specific age.
Let me get you. So now, he was, maybe the teachers would say he has ADHD.
He was actually diagnosed with ADHD.
Oh, he was diagnosed with
Yes, and by then the school gave us options that he should have asked that I pack chewing gum for him so that he could have that in class when he was too hyper. And when we looked at each other with my husband and we thought, but is that the right way? Is that the way we were told we should attend an academic lesson? So in the background, we realized it's the nutrition. So we changed the diet, and that helped him actually stay still during class time. But he was still a very active boy. And then the diagnosis went, he's too active. And then so I went back to my first teacher, who is my mom, who said, but boys are that way. So give him things to do. Let him burn that energy. So that was the solution provided, and we addressed it, and it's been fantastic for him.
Yeah.
So coming down to now the second ones, and that's where the difference was clear, because one was going this way and hitting all the checks, and the other one was when we were not moving at all. And he was crying often. He started crying often. He was not very social. He didn't want to play around, and he was very specific with the toys that he wanted. And my brother was doing experiments with him, and we had all types of balls in the house, different colors, purple, blue, yellow, red. And he was always attracted to that one red color. So we thought, okay, he has some peculiar habits. And that's when my husband said, no, Njoki, he's on the autism spectrum, because I've been looking at, I've done my own research. So he was also an active parent then to know as a parent, my child I'm noticing certain things about my child. So the first responsibility is with a parent. Check through, have some information as to what is missing in the gap, so that when I go to a medical practitioner, we're having an engaging conversation. I'm just not in a type of 844 school being told, this is it, this is it, this is it. And at times it can be very discouraging, because you're getting a lot of negative information. So then how do you process all that? I didn't want to, because it was quite scary. I just didn't want to look at it.
I guess as mothers, we never want to, hear anything. If you want to see my claws, say something negative about my child. Right?
Yes. But he was persistent. Do something about it. So then it was, he was busy, so the onus was on me. Do something about it. So then you do something about the first instance that you notice. Don't fight it. It's a dragon that you don't want to look at. That you have to face it, just like any other conditions that you have in your life that are not so pretty.
But
then you have to address it. Yes, so that's the first thing. The next, if I knew what I know now, Faith, then I would have more compassion and love towards myself first, because then this has happened to me as a mother. What do you do first? Then that condition or that love, you have to now develop it within, or go to your maker and say, God, this is happening. I don't like it. But just because you don't like it, you have to deal with it. So then you have to deal with it from a strong position, and that strong position is one of love, and one that we disregard as being very simple, but it's actually where we draw our strength from. That you have that love in your heart. So once you have that love in your heart, it will help you love your child, and then see him as that human child. And it's the condition that we don't like. Because then you look at that condition, we've already labeled it, and you're labeling it on the child. That's not really very kind, is it?
That's true.
Yeah, so then you start from that position. So then I was fighting it, because I don't want it. I just want it normal, regular, like the other kids. I've planned it well, that he should tick, 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 go to this kindergarten. But then all of a sudden, I don't have that selection.
Oh, yes, and especially in this country.
Yeah. before you'd have any other housekeeper or nanny or help come through and do this, and that. But now you're
With
more
this child, you have to be
careful.
Yeah.
Like, who should I bring along in my house to help me now?
True.
Yeah. And if they don't see you also from a position of love, that you're loving your child, they're also not going to treat your child well. And that's the basis. The home is the basis, because what's going on in the home can only be reinforced when we start seeking out practitioners such as yourself. You're told you need an occupational therapy, a cognitive therapy, a speech therapist. Who are these? How do they function?
And that's why she's here.
That's why you're here. Yes.
Wow.
So information first.
Yeah.
Then as you seek out, I have some. We have some exchange of information, and not just telling me this and this.
Exactly.
Then I go home and do my homework, and then now we start translating it to how do we now work on this condition.
Yeah.
At this age, we found out then.
Wow.
Where do I seek alternatives? What is it? Then you start breaking down, okay, if it's nutrition, then what?
What?
Yeah, it's also, you're told gluten-free, dairy-free. What does that mean? And am I able then to budget on that? And if I can't, then what?
Because it can be expensive.
It is. You have
Yes,
to take,
yeah.
you're told about supplements, and you'll, it can be a whole range. But then the more information you dig up, then you find out, okay, I don't have to take calcium supplements, but I can do traditional vegetables that have calcium. So then you start getting that knowledge and information, and you start translating it into your home, where the child is and where you are. And that's where you need to address that, that condition that you're all dealing with. It's also, the home is conducive to help him outgrow it, or to also cope with the challenges that they experience.
Yeah. No, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that, a lot of even the mothers who I've met, who have experienced this, it's usually, funny enough, the fathers who notice, and the mothers are in denial. And, because it's hard, to just deal with it and come to terms with it. I don't know how it's been for you as a practitioner, going into these homes and seeing these children. Maybe you have a story or two you could share. Does the therapy help, or what works, is it diet, because there are all these things. As she's saying, there's information. And even from the point of how do you figure out, she's just given us some of this, like the things to look out for.
Yeah.
But maybe you can give us a bigger range of what to look out for as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Faith. I just want to first congratulate you. It is good to see you have already accepted it, and you're ready to face it. And that is the first step of accepting. For sure, there's a challenge, and this is how we are going to work towards achieving the goals. So well done, and I hope you're also doing well.
Yeah,
the boy is doing
up
well.
and down, but we keep moving. As long as we're moving forward, and we don't stand still.
Yeah, for sure.
Then,
so yeah, it's true. There's a bit of denial. You'd go to a house. You find both parents, and they feel, yes, there's something, but they are still not accepting that word, that condition. Acknowledging that, yes, my child is in the spectrum, but they can for sure see there are some misses here and there when they check on the milestones. So the first thing definitely is to come to a point where you realize, yes, for sure, there's something, and you're able to now handle the challenges that are at hand.
Okay.
So the first thing that you want to look at, I would still go back down to development. Once a child is born, following the milestones from the first month. At 3 months we should have the social smile. A child should be smiling to you, and most of the times you'll find some of the social smile might delay. It might delay. So you look at the child, and there's not that connection between you. And again, when you look at the development, we start with the head control. So when we have a child at 3 months or later, and there's no neck control, it should raise an alarm. And I think it's for the parent, just like Njoki said, you should, first it starts with the parent. You notice, oh, there's a miss here. So you need to talk to your the medical practitioner. When you're going for the immunizations, ask the staff, is my child doing well? How are we doing? What do I expect at this age? So that we are not delaying taking too much time. By the time you realize, oh, there's a problem, the child is 1 year old, and still the neck is still not yet very stable. So we need to have a developmental check, so that at this stage I expect this. If you don't get that, ask your medical practitioner so that they can advise you on what to do, so that the child moves attains their developmental milestones at the right time. The other thing also, there's something one doctor at one time said when I was delivering my second child, and the nurse was like, you know, if I was a CS, a medical CS, one thing I would do, I will take all the smartphones from the moms, so that the moms can breastfeed their children from this position. This is how God created it. The first food for the baby is here, so that when the baby is taking the first food, you are interacting. But the smartphones, we are here. The baby is
so you're
feeding.
nursing and scrolling on Instagram.
Yes, so we are missing
whatever.
it. So we are missing a lot to interact with the child. And it's from this position that you're able to get some of these things. It's from this position that the baby is able to study your face, your facial expressions. Yeah, so I would encourage all mothers to really have time with the children and really look at the developmental milestones. Monitor, exactly, that's the word. Monitor, how are these developmental milestones going? Because that way you're able now to have a bit of, I'm having an issue with this, consult your doctor and they will advise you on what to do. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you go to the home, should this family have also seen a different type of doctor? You know, or like, you know, because you talked about very many types of therapists.
Yes.
You know, who, you know, like if I'm listening and I'm like, oh, everything you're talking about, I think I've seen in my child, and now I want to go to find somebody. You know, should someone see first? Is it a pediatrician? Are there specific specialists for this sort of, you know, issues, or how would you advise someone to start off?
Yeah, normally the pediatricians are the first people that we normally take our children to. So if a pediatrician, you just go and share what you feel. And then the doctor will look at the child, and if there's any need for referral, like for the specified at any referrals, like to a neurologist, then the pediatrician will refer you. If it's something that the pediatrician feels, this one we need maybe an occupational therapist, this is that speech therapist, then this pediatrician will recommend the specialists, the specialities that you need. So they will refer you and you'll get the right attention for the child. Yes.
And so when you say occupational therapy, what happens when you're in somebody's home? You know, when I think of occupational therapists, I think of, you know, like maybe massages, stretches, and things like that. But I know it must be more than just that. So maybe enlighten us, like when you come to somebody's home and you're taking care of this child, what you're doing, are you even teaching them stuff, you know, like sound R, you know, like just help us understand a bit.
Okay, so once you've been referred to an occupational therapist, personally I'll come to your house. So the first thing I'll do is the assessment. I want to see where is the child, what are the abilities, what are the milestones that the child has attained, so that now we are able to see these are the abilities, and these are the strengths, and these are the weaknesses. So now I'll be here to strengthen the weaknesses, to just pull up the weaknesses. So depending with the child's needs. So for therapy will definitely be different, because every child is different and needs different attention and intervention. Thank you, Njoki. Yes, so depending with the child, you'll have different goals.
Correct. And to circle back, Faith, to what you were saying, as a parent, how the doctors do support. So you don't need to feel overwhelmed, like you're constantly checking, is he fine? Is she okay? Is she raising her hands? Is she talking? Because society also puts a lot of pressure on the parents if your child is not hitting a certain mark that they find normal. A close friend battled for almost 3 years when a child who was at 3 was not talking because all her neighbors kept asking her, what is wrong with your child? I said,
Yeah.
my child, there's nothing wrong with him. No, he's
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
There are some who take much longer than others, but they get there. Just like for us also in our careers and in our different paths, we get married earlier. You hit your
Yes.
career goals earlier than me. Like she's, if I may say so in the show that we are friends, she's gone ahead with her career much faster as I'm tracing on. I started a young family before she did. So also with children, I've come to understand that we also give them the same room. That just because he's at 3 and not talking, there's not something wrong with him.
Yeah.
We give them the space to
That's very
develop.
encouraging.
So the parents, as a parent, the doctor will give you the advice and the direct path. So it's up to you as you walk that path to find, is this the right path that he told me to follow?
Yeah.
Do I need a second opinion? Yeah. Then also when I'm told to go for therapy, what type of therapy is it? So they provide a lot of information. So the onus is on you as a parent then to go find out what type of therapy have I been told to look out for my child. In our case, for instance, when you asked what is occupational therapy, my son's hands were very weak. He could not grasp an object. He'd feel a lot of, his fingers were very sensitive also. So he could not hold a pencil or color. So through OT or occupational therapy, so they do muscle reinforcements, we do lots of exercises with his fingers to strengthen him, that way he's able to hold the fingers. So it's not academics on write this and this, is can I hold my fingers steady? Then eye contact, can I look at you for a long period without stopping? Because that will help me look at how you're moving your lips and be able to respond when I'm called. Yeah, so these are small things that now the interventions through therapy help these children. My son also, he doesn't like his head being shaved. So we found out then he's also really sensitive to his skin. So then you work on that sensitivity that he doesn't want his hair touched. Going to the barber is a nightmare for him. And so also as a parent, I'm okay with him having his hair out, because then
instead of forcing him and
getting to comply to what society says is a look for a boy, yet he's undergoing so much as having that a shave on his head. It's painful for him. So I can get his brother shaved and he's happy, but he struggles. So then we respect that for him, but we help him along to how do we decrease the sensitivity for you? So that's now the medical practitioners who do. So before we start on the show, I was asking her, then do you give the tools to the parents? Do they ask? Because then I give you my child for 4 hours, but I'm with my child for the other 20 hours.
As the primary caregiver, right?
Primary caregiver. So the importance for you guys is to give us the tools that we need as parents, because also as a parent, I don't want to be dependent on you, because I'm going to have this at home. Empower me that I also empower my family members to help the child
and support,
and give him that.
Because it can also be pricey, right?
Yes, it is. It's very pricey. So then we work along towards knowing, reduce this for him at home. Like he doesn't like noise, but at times then we'll allow the noise so that you can
also get used to it.
Get used to it, because when we go out to a function, I can't keep going and say reduce the voice for his comfort.
Right. So you just have to
so you work along that, but it's important that you give us the tools that we need to go home and then practice. And then also give the caregivers the tools, the same tools. Then we teach him, and then he's also able to apply them for himself.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's where then the bridge between the parents and the practitioners is important. But the onus, I feel, Faith, at times it's then on us as a parent.
To also demand what you feel is.
To demand what you feel, because Julia, you see how many children?
Must be so many. Like how many do you see at a go, like in a day or in a month?
Okay, maybe in a day, because I'm now doing home care, so I have to move.
Okay.
Maybe a max for 4.
Okay.
And it's probably an hour.
Yes,
1 hour,
it's
30 minutes.
challenging. Just to add on that, home care, because now you're going where the child is and where the caregivers are. The things we call home programs. So when I'm doing my thing, I need somebody to sit with me. So that they can see what I'm doing. I can train on basic things that they can be doing every other day. Whether I'm in or I'm not.
Yeah.
For a naughty, there are other things that we also look at apart from Njoki, what Njoki mentioned, like now the body, you know, the sensory part of it. There are other skills, the life skills. We have toileting,
Yes.
we have feeding. You
Yeah.
find if the child had weak muscles,
Yeah.
even holding a spoon and
That's a
feeding
struggle.
himself was a challenge.
Ah,
So we
yeah.
need to really
Yeah.
work on that so that this child is able to feed himself or herself independently.
Yeah.
There's also a bit of toileting.
Yeah.
Toileting is potty training.
Yeah, potty training. Yeah, so you need to make sure that this child learns how to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe because of the sensitivity, the child doesn't feel comfortable sitting on a potty. So you need to really have a way of doing it until the child is comfortable.
Yeah.
To just sit on the potty, relieve themselves, stand up, pull up the clothes. You know, those are the life skills that we normally train the children so that as they grow up, at least they're independent in those areas.
Okay.
And then the other thing now will be things of dressing, you know,
Dressing up.
taking a shower. You know, there's some small things that we
Yes.
really don't, we really take for granted,
Yeah.
but they really mean a lot. Njoki can attest to that.
Yeah,
They
that's
really mean a lot. A child being able to play, even with a parent or
Yeah.
with the siblings, because most of the times you
It's
find
true.
these children are loners. So you need to incorporate them in the family time.
And
We
at times, sorry to say, they're not really loners. We thought that for my son, because he was really shy. So when we discovered he was shy, then now we pull him along. We don't say no, he just likes being alone. No, no human wants that.
Yes.
They
We are
want to
also
be
social
creative.
beings.
Yes. So now I encourage now his siblings and their friends, and they call him and they play with him, even if he will not acknowledge them.
Yeah. But it's
he's,
important to have
he's
the
within
social.
their social. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll
No, I
pull him
think it's
along. If he's
important,
not
yeah.
kicking the ball, but he will.
At
They'll
least he's
force
there.
him to kick a ball, and okay. But you'll find that he's happy, he's smiling, and that's what you want.
Yeah,
for-
that's all we
for your
want for these
child.
children.
Yeah,
To feel part of the family.
to feel part
Yeah.
part
Yeah.
of the
Exactly.
family.
And I'm just curious, what's in the ecosystem of taking care of this child? There's the caregivers at home. You talked about the parents, there's a nanny, there's an occupational therapist, you mentioned a neurologist, and I think a pediatrician. Would you advise for the parents to see somebody else, you know? Maybe before I ask Njoki to talk about who else has helped her, who else do you feel needs to be part of this ecosystem to take care of this child on the spectrum and etc.?
A nutritionist will be
Yeah.
very important. It's I call it, it has to be a team.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing of being a team working together. So a nutritionist will play quite a big role.
Okay.
Because most times you'll find these children, they are picky eaters.
Yeah.
There are foods that they won't eat.
Yeah.
But we need that nutritional value in their bodies. So we need a nutritionist to advise us, if this child can't have this, then what else can they
Can they
have?
have?
Yeah, so that they get the right nutrition.
Yeah.
Again, some like Njoki said, there are some foods that actually make
Like
them a
increase their
little bit
energy.
high.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to know what can we give instead of those foods. So what else can we give? Because the child, the body needs those nutrients.
Yeah.
So what else can we use,
give?
but that is healthy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Alright.
then there maybe later in life, a child definitely we put a teacher in. The teacher comes in.
Yes.
There are special needs teachers. Yes, of course. So it's quite a team.
Yes.
I would call it. It's a team of so many people working together.
Okay.
Yes.
And what has that been for you, Njoki? Who's made
Who's
part of
been
your
my team?
And maybe even as you talk about that, you can talk about where you feel you found most value. You know, because also not everybody can afford to have like the complete team. But there's those people you're like, for you, you felt if you didn't have this specific person as part of that ecosystem, it would have been difficult for you.
Well, first, God, because then that keeps me very aware to listen to that intuition voice that will tell you, don't go this way, go
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah.
And I've come to learn that that is a very core part, because there are times I've ignored that voice and it's brought me tears, meaning that that voice either told me, don't bring that nanny in, but because I wanted convenience, I did. And my child either was mistreated at that, then as well for a particular maybe institution, I'll say, that I took my child and I felt he was not getting
Like 100%.
100% of what he needed, because I believe I'm taking the child to school to get the tools because I don't have them as a parent. And so I didn't listen again to that voice. And so I kept him in that institution, even if it didn't help him. And only later, when I pulled him out and went to the institution, that I felt also my intuition was God saying, take him. And we've thrived there. So that's one. Yeah, that leads and guides you. Yeah,
that God is just walking with you through the journey.
With you.
Because he gave you the baby, right? And
Yes.
and he's faithful to
That's where you start. Where did it come from? There.
That's true.
Then also where you've been placed by God in your family. That's your community. So the child needed a lot of play. I'm not very playful, but my brothers are playful too much, even in their adults. And so they filled in that gap. Very playful. Then also just having also your parents being there. And now when we all come, so I've been very lucky and blessed, because then my family also accepted. So we all accepted, and we all now make fun about it. And one of my brother's sons also is on the spectrum. And he's also different. He's also a very picky eater. My son is not. He'll eat everything, a whole meal, very mukimo. That's what he loves. But my nephew is also on the spectrum. He's very picky on what he will eat. So we intentionally now have to make sure he's taking his vitamins to balance off what he doesn't take from the skumas or the beans or what he's offered. So that way then, that community is there to keep you going throughout, from when they're small to when they'll transition to teenagers, and that's key. So when also it gets overwhelming as a parent, then they're there to bridge that gap for you. So they say, okay, bring him along and he'll stay with us, because then they also enjoy his company. And that love that we've had has helped that child thrive. And those moments that are really tough, then they're there.
Like a shoulder to lean on.
Especially also with the school and the institution he goes to. I found they're very open, and I don't need to check his diary, because they're authentic and true. They're taking care of the child. And
like they're serious about what
they're serious about what they're doing. That I'm at peace, because I don't check the diary, and they're giving him the tools and the intervention that he needs to develop his speech, to develop his interaction, and to be more independent. And we see it. And
that's good.
That's come from a place of prayer and listening to that voice that will lead you to that community to help you. So I would urge your listeners or parents to say, it can be overwhelming, but start from there. That's your first action point. You're called. God will lead you, and through the community, he'll bring a community of people around you who will help you navigate the challenge through the condition that's there. The next one is, don't complain, because then you're complaining all the time. It translates to also the child, and the energy that you're surrounding yourself with. The child is not thriving, it's not working for any of you. And when we interact with the therapist as well, she's just hearing the complaints, and then you translate that pressure on them. You're not doing your job to help my child. No, it doesn't work that way with that. So these are a whole set of ball games that you have to understand in your mind, that this is not the way I've been. This type of parenting is different from the other one that I've been doing with the different children. And this one requires that I'm more and more engaged, that I have to join forums for other parents, that I'm able to get snippets of information that has helped them. Attend awareness, then go for that, immerse yourself in that, and it becomes a rewarding journey. So we are not there to hit that milestone, then we'll be okay, because then you're always chasing to perform. When we are always we're here, no.
I get
the
you.
reward is in the journey. And so I'll come to you as a friend and say, no, it's not working, this is not, and then she's been my support. Then I have another challenge, then it's the school is my support. Another challenge, then the therapist is the one who is supporting. Then the other one is the other kids are the support, because then at home they'll play or they'll pick up after him, because then I also don't want to pick after him, so then that becomes your support for that day.
True.
That is so well put.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article on, just handling this, and it could be autism, it could be anything else.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this mother was talking about how she wishes people were aware and supported, because she's, the lady who'd written this report was like, it's so sad how it's so hard to even take your child to public places because of the eyes you will get and how people, will be like control your child or things like that, And so I'm just curious from both of you, how would you advise the rest of the world? Forget your family and your friends who get it, but there's the other friend or the, just people in the malls or in church, a lot of mothers don't take these children to church because maybe there's no one to support, so I don't know what your thoughts are.
It's your own personal decision because it's my world. It's my world with my child. So yes, we go to the mall. So I'm sensitive as to when we're going to the mall, I make sure he's fed. So he's not getting agitated because he's hungry. We've used the bathroom, and one, again, from my support system, especially the teacher, the one who owns the institution my child goes to, she said, well, when you go to the mall, Njoki, because I was telling her, he's just peeing when I'm at the mall and it's uncomfortable for me. Then she says, but when you enter the mall, did you go to the loo and show him this is where the loo is? Oh, I did not. So then now I'm more aware that, yes, we go to the mall, we use the loo, and I tell him when you need to use the loo, you pull my hand and he will, or he'll start doing this. Then I notice we need to use the loo. So yes, we go to the mall, but I'm cognizant of the time period. And why am I taking him? He also doesn't like
it's too vibrant,
and too much traffic, many people that will overwhelm him.
Yes.
So I'll take him for a short period of time. Yes, we go to church, but then I'm mindful that we sit in an area where I can easily exit if he becomes a bit, unstable during the service and people need to listen. But guess what? When we enter and I tell him, you sit through, no moving, we are listening, we're in church. He does, but I don't push it to more than 30 minutes.
Yeah. Wow, that's good.
Yeah, but we do. So the first thing, Faith, I would tell for such parents, it's your world. So you decide how you want your life to be.
Yeah, like
so
don't let other people
determine for me. Yes, if we make a mistake in public, you apologize and clean up after yourself when you do, because then you're being responsible. Sure, as a citizen, you don't make others uncomfortable. If I come to your home and I'll alert you, remove this and this, we might break it, then we do. But if I find that in your home you're sensitive about it, then I'll limit my interaction with when I bring him along. Yes, because I'm also respectful of her environment. So yes, as a parent, decide what works for you. But yes, don't stay indoors. They love indoors. Go out to the park. Go visiting others. Go to a forest for a walk. It's good for him. Yes, and if you can't do it, your community of partners can do it. Maybe your siblings can take him for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So no, we're not meant to be caged. Go out. There's society stigma, but then what? When has there not been society stigma over how we dress or how the things we talk about? So get comfortable with your child when you go out.
And even as we close, I'll just ask us to, and we've given so much information, maybe for both of us to share what you would tell a mother who's just found out, and maybe just come to terms or is seeing something in the child and you're like, gosh, this child probably could be in the spectrum or things like that. How would you encourage them? What would you tell them? And then she can share it from her own experience, speaking to probably a younger herself when she found out. But I don't know, from your point of view as an expert, what would you tell those parents who, that child is at home, you haven't taken a step, you're like frozen, because maybe you want to deal with it, I don't know. Yeah, from your heart, what would you say?
Wow. Yeah, the first thing that happens, definitely, we all want to have a child, a neurotypical child. But once in a while, things don't work our way. So denial will come in. But what I would just encourage a parent, don't sink into denial for so long, because the child is there and help is out there. There are people out there willing to help. There are people with the information, so you can navigate around. you will go to into denial, but you need to also put your child into intervention. And one thing that I've seen, and it is working, and Joki maybe will tell us more, it's early intervention. Early intervention is the way. The moment you realize there's a challenge, you need to give that child the help that is available. The doctors are there. They will connect you with the right people to work with you so that you're able to help your child to attain early enough to attain the delayed milestones. So there's still hope. It's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of hope. And God definitely has a purpose for that child. Yes.
Thank you so much. Joki, what would you tell that young mother, you know, especially, and I say young not because only young mothers are having children and needing this support, but I mean young in terms of when you look back to yourself at the point this journey started, you know, if you wished you would have done something, or you wished someone would have told you something, now that you know and understand and you're thriving in this, what would you tell that person, that mother starting out, or what would you tell yourself? You know, that maybe would have excluded a lot of maybe pain, stress, or things like that.
Indeed. I like, Julia, what you lastly said, that God has a purpose for all of us, including the ones with conditions that we say are not normal. But for someone who's just found out, it can be really disheartening. And so give yourself that grace, just as you experience any challenge in your life, that you give yourself that grace. I was very hard on myself. And so then I would give myself grace, and then I would seek out God earlier before seeking out human knowledge, because that will lead me to the right knowledge that I need to get at that point. Because at times there's something particularly you need in your life, and being in tune with God leads you towards what you're looking for, those coincidences or synchronicities that we occur in our lives. So then I would say, yes, give grace to yourself, and then seek out knowledge from God, and then He'll lead you to the right human knowledge, the right book, or the right practitioner. Because like I said, the children are different. She said the spectrum is wide, so they all have different needs. So you'll be led to the one who'll treat that particular need for your child. Then maybe that will be just for a season. So if something is not working, that it didn't work with that particular therapist, then perhaps looking back, we reached that threshold. I should have graduated him to another one. So that change is not bad as well. It always leads to greater growth. So I would look back and say, as long as you're making that forward, you're advancing, you're moving forward, you're not staying still. The behavior you were dealing with a month ago, you've addressed it, and it's no longer something you're working on. Like he goes to the toilet by himself, he's flushing, or now he's forgetting to wash his hands. Let's work on that. So I would not put too much pressure towards our attaining that goal quickly. And so I would be more patient with myself, which will translate to more patience with the child. And also what is helping me now, because it's not that we are over and we're done with and we moved on. No, it's to look at him also as a teacher, and that has helped me immensely. What am I learning through him? He's taught me a lot of patience in particular. At times he doesn't want to sleep at night, and I'm very impatient because I want to sleep at night. But then what do I force him? So now I leave him if he wants to stay out the window for a few hours at night. Then we have, so that has taught me, be patient in your character as well. So with that, you find now as a parent, once you look at it that way, it helps you now navigate the challenge ahead of you. You start seeing him that we are also growing in our lives, just as you have your partner or you are at work, and the way you found each other at this level, now you progress. So once we start with this child at this level, we are now here. And by also developing my character to be, like I said, patient, and also playfulness, then we can also be so serious in our activities that we forgot to be playful and laugh and have fun.